Hello everyone, welcome back to my growing space. See that nasty fern over there? We're going to try to fix it if we can. We'll see. All right, where'd my little tripod thing go? What are my goals with this fern? Um, None really. I don't particularly like this plant. I just had a coworker ask me if I wanted to take ownership of it, and I said sure. Ferns are some of my favorite plants. They are super cool because they don't um, they don't grow from seed. They grow from spore. Ferns are kind of I mean, they are a prehistoric plant. They were around before plants with seeds with protective coatings even existed. So they're kind of similar to mushrooms in that way. Get my choppers here. So what are my goals here? I need to clean this thing out. The foliage is kind of healthy, but it got dry a couple of times, and so it's on the struggle bus. Also, these things aren't really set up for long-term keeping. Uh, this stuff is, you can see it's in a hanging basket, so it's kind of meant for someone's porch and to be thrown away at the end of the season, but I just think ferns are so beautiful. We'll see if we can make something out of it. So two goals. I want to kind of clean this out a bit. I'm going to cut the foliage back pretty hard. I want to, at the very least, get rid of all this dead stuff. Because with all this dead stuff, it makes it hard for new stuff to grow. And actually, I found something that this is kind of neat. Let me show you. This right here. That's what new growth looks like on ferns. See that little curled up there? It's so cute. So we're going to hack this thing back and see what we can do here. So we're going to hack it back, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put it in a different pot. The reason why it's in a cat litter container right now is because the pot is totally cracked, and good lord, the pot is totally cracked. I needed something to drain it in, so we're going to repot it as well. Where do I even start on this damn thing? First, we're going to try to untangle it. I want to try to avoid cutting out the good stuff, you know. If it has good, healthy foliage, let's keep it. But a lot of this is truly garbage. Um, and you should never be afraid of hacking plants back. You know, the foliage, that's only part of the plant. And if you cut the foliage back, it's going to put on more. I see a lot of people on YouTube who are afraid to cut stuff back, but if you saw the way plants were handled in industry, you would be shocked. You gotta kind of go aggressive sometimes. It will grow back. The part of the plant that matters is the root zone. Of course, you need foliage, but plant grows from the root zone. You know what, man? Maybe I should just cut a lot of this foliage back. Well, actually, let's look at the roots. Let's pull this thing down. Okay, roots, not the worst. This is really compacted soil. Yeah, not the worst, not the best. Not the healthiest. It may be maybe easier to kind of cut the big ones out and then use my hands to get this little crap out in the middle. But basically what I'm trying to do is give the plant space to put on new vegetative growth. So I'm just kind of clearing the way. And the roots seem healthy enough, so either way, I think it's going to put on more growth. I'm just trying to clear things up. Another thing that's important about caring for plants is that you need to try to keep the dead stuff out of the pot. Um, Dead organic matter is not good. Promotes disease, mold. If you've ever struggled with botrytis, that comes from organic matter that's left around and is too wet. You don't get botrytis without organic matter. And so if you can cut all the bad stuff out of your plants, that's going to help you. And the plant's going to be a lot happier for it. Okay. Now that we're clearing some of this stuff out, it's not even a good view. Yeah, that's pretty good. You can kind of see there's two plants in here. There's one right here, and then there's a big mass right here. Boom. So I'm just going to clear things up. And again, if I damage this foliage, it don't really matter that much. A lot of this foliage is cooked anyway. So what I'm really doing is getting dead organic matter out. We're going to flip it in 1 second, but this side is looking decent. Okay, this is coming together better than I thought. I'm happy about this. The soil is not great. When roots turn this like kind of brown color, they're kind of wispy like this. This tells me they're not getting a ton of aeration. And you can see in the soil that this is super compact. That can happen for a lot of reasons. One reason is if it's just like really old compact soil. These things aren't put in soil that are meant to last forever. You know, they sell these things to go in a hanging basket for one season and then be thrown away, which is unfortunate because it took a lot to grow it. All right, let's rip at this other side a little bit. One message I really want to send home on this one is that don't be afraid to, you know, hack away at your plants. You ain't gonna hurt it. Think about it in the wild. They're subject to wind, animals, all sorts of stuff, and they just kind of survive. If anyone's had an overgrown yard, they know that firsthand. You can hit it with a weed eater all day long, and it's gonna come back. So the big thing is to try to clean things up so you have the opportunity to put on more growth. Yeah, ferns are some of my favorite. They're just such cool plants. I've never grown from spore, although that is one of my goals. It seems very long. I was watching some videos on it, and it takes months and months and months to grow from spore, and that's a shame. I would love it if I could find some sort of way to grow them quickly. Trying to avoid cutting off new growth, but as I said before, it's going to happen. I decapitated that one, and that one, so it's going to happen. The big thing is just to kind of clear out the center because that's going to give opportunity for more growth. And as long as the roots are doing okay, then it'll put on more growth. Part of me wonders if I should cut this back even more aggressively. Okay, so this is kind of cool. So I've cleared all that stuff up, and you can kind of see there's this blob here that's kind of independent. Okay, that is a plant. There are several plants in this pot. It's not just one big mass. If I was true to my preaching, I would just cut this back to nothing. Part of me kind of wants to. Golly, should I do that? The thing is, I wanted to put this in the house. I normally don't keep crappy plants like this down in the grow room because I actually have nice plants. I have valuable crops in here, and these are just asking for disease and problems. But in the wintertime, up in the house is probably the worst place you can put a plant because they never get enough light. They often get neglected. Oh. So I was too rough with this one. You can see that I cut at some of the roots here, and it's just hanging on by a root. I'm just going to remove this. And so my goal with this plant is to just get it under some nice lights for a while. Get it used to a nice day-night cycle. Go easy on the watering. You don't want to excuse me. You don't want to overwater if the plant is struggling. Sometimes they need to get acclimated before you start going hard on the water. At the end of the day, consumption of water by a plant is a function of how much light it's getting. And so if you give it a good environment where it's getting a lot of light, they'll start to say, hey, it's time for me to grow again. And then you can slowly start ramping up water. And that's another way to become a really good grower, is understand that relationship between water and light. I don't know what I want to do, friendos. I've torn away at a lot of this, and I've gotten a lot of dead material out, but I've also hacked a bunch of this foliage back, and part of me just wants to hack the rest. You know what? I'm going to I think I'm going to pot it up. And maybe make a decision from there. I have damaged some new growth. That's okay. Plants are tough. Ultimately, if this plant sees consistent light, it's going to start thinking, hey, time for me to grow. And it'll start putting on new growth. And at that point, the decisions are, when do I start increasing water? And you'll get a feel for that. Comes with experience. Okay, this thing looks nasty as hell. But it looks better. There's less dead stuff in there. Man, I am really tempted to just hack this whole thing back. I don't know what I'm afraid of, though. To be honest, I just kind of want it out of my tent. I'm definitely going to clean out the tent with bleach afterwards, because there's no telling what sort of disease this stuff has. I mean, it's probably fine, but it'd be nice to have a little sanitary situation here. Okay, so the issue next is that this pot is broken, very broken. So we're going to ditch that. And I'm going to grab a pot really quick. Let me see if I can find one. I'll be right back. Okay. Will it fit in a 2-gallon pot? Let's see. Nope. Okay, I need a bigger pot. Do I even have one down here? I know I have some outside, but I would rather not go digging outside for a damn pot. Okay, here's one, but it's broken again. It's not so broken, though, so we're going to roll with this one, I think, if it'll fit. It does not fit enough. I wanted to add some more soil. Let's see, what can we do here? I normally have so many damn pots that I don't know what to do with them, but now is the time where I don't. I'm going to run outside real quick and grab one. Alright, this should be more than enough. And it's a little decorative, which is nice. Okay, I'm back. Oh. Okay. So we got our new pot here. Nothing special. And I'm going to fill it with Pro Mix. Pro Mix is a great medium. It's getting expensive though. I just bought a new bale of it, and it's $50. Normally it's like $35, at least where I'm from. Okay, we can get it started. Put the plant in here, and then we're going to fill around the sides. The joys of having a small growing space, you know? But Pro Mix is great. It's really good water retention, good cation exchange. It's just the ability for the soil to hold on to nutrients. It's predictable to irrigate. It's not so loose that the water immediately runs out of the bottom. It's kind of spongy. So it's a very pleasant soil or medium to grow in. If you're looking for Pro Mix, maybe it's at Home Depot. It's almost certainly at a hydroponic shop if you got one around you. It's very popular for kind of hobby growers who do hydroponics in some capacity at home. Okay. This soil will compact over time, and I will add soil as necessary. I'm gonna adjust the camera here. Okay, here's our nasty boy. And I'm gonna grab my fertilizer. I already have some made up. I have maybe 5 liters here. I have no idea what the EC is, probably like 1.1. That's what I checked when I mixed it up. No idea what the pH is. When I mixed it up, I pH'd it to, I think, like high 5s. 5.8, 5.9, something like that. Doesn't really matter in this case. One interesting thing is that if you leave your fertilizer out, as in you don't use it all, and then you just kind of leave it sitting down in a bucket, it will change over time as far as pH goes. So if you are super concerned about pH, that is something to know. Luckily, plants don't care that much about pH. I think a lot of times people overestimate the necessity of a dialed pH. I mean, it is necessary, but you're only going to run into pH issues if you're on like a really bad extreme. Like you got something going on if you're having like consistent pH issues. Okay. That's a decent amount of water. Clean some of this stuff up again. Overall, don't worry so much about pH. Get it between, I don't know, 5.5, 6.5, and you're rocking, you know? There's no need to fret over it. If you have too high of a pH, you're going to run into iron problems. But many fertilizers will have what's called chelated iron, which is iron that is available at a higher pH than other forms of iron. And that's kind of the name of the game with growing in industry. You want a nice fertilizer that has enough chelated iron to where you're not chasing your tail every time your pH goes out of whack. And if you have a decent fertilizer, then you should be fine. It's very, very, very hard to achieve that if you're using like organic or just quote natural fertilizers. It's just hard because they're less consistent and they're not going to have the nutrition spec sheet that a synthetic fertilizer will. And there's problems with synthetics, of course. I mean, phosphorus is awful for the environment. It's really bad. You should never dump fertilizer in the drain. You should really try to use all your fertilizer. Try not to get it out into the environment. That's really the worst part of it. It ain't gonna hurt you though, you know. It's just trying to be mindful of our environment. Okay, there is our nasty fern. We got it in a new pot, which I'm really happy about. We got some of this garbage cut back. We added soil, which I'm happy about. I'm sure I'm going to have to go back and add a bit more. But that's okay. I'm going to let this... Okay, not even dripping water out of the bottom yet. It's decent. We'll see where it goes. Once I get this back under lights, I'm just going to try to push some new growth. And once new growth starts coming up, I will probably chop all this foliage off because this foliage is looking cooked. It's not so bad. It's just, you know, when you have really thin leaves like this, you can only abuse it so much before you got to chop back and start again. Because they're just not as sturdy as thicker foliage. But ferns are tough. So we'll see how it goes. Thanks for hanging out with me. Hello? Stop.